were just saying that sometimes it seemed as if you gave people the idea that you were loving them, then in some ways they might want to take advantage in
Right.
whatever way. And it may be that if you were talking to somebody, a friend or a stranger even, and you were talking about unconditional love, they might say, well, I'm not going to love everybody unconditionally. They'd take me for everything I've got. They're sort of, I'll be having to do this and do that and do, my whole life is going to be given over to people.
Right.
I mean, how would you answer that? I mean, would you say, well, it goes with the territory, or would you, do you have to balance it, or how do you handle that? I mean, I've got a friend, for example, who says unconditional love is so hard. She said, I'm just exhausted the whole time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious, yeah.
It's not a doing, but I shouldn't judge that. But for me, it's not doing. I guess it's a being, and it's no longer second nature. It's a nature. For me, and if somebody does ask me that, how can you, just love unconditionally all the time? I think if you just learn to love yourself unconditionally all the time, it just sort of overflows. It's not even a question. I'm sorry, for me, I guess it's not a question of thought. It just is, if that makes any sense. It's you're not doing, you're being, and once you become, then there's no doing left. So for me, unconditional love is, it's not doing, it's just becoming that, and coming from there. So if people say, do you love everybody unconditionally? You try your best to, yes. And then, but more importantly, you try to love yourself. And I think if you can learn to love yourself unconditionally, that will just happen. The rest will just happen. So.
Beautiful. Really. What kind of a process would you think most people have to go through with developing unconditional love? I mean, this isn't something that you just cultivate in a matter of a couple of days or a couple of weeks or even a couple of years. I don't know. I mean, is this something that one really has to commit to in quite a
I think so, yes.
deliberate sort of way? What would you say about that?
I would say so. I think it's embracing yourself in every situation, no matter what the situation is. If let's say, for example, I drop my phone, and it falls and it breaks, our initial, reaction to our own mistakes are, holy effing blah blah blah. What the F were you thinking? Couldn't you put your, phone in a proper place so you don't break it? And even and please don't take this the wrong way. Even in certain days, I catch myself having, Falguni, what are you doing? And then there's another voice inside saying, I was trying to blah blah blah, and this happened. Oh, okay. So it's very interesting to hear my own conversations that I have with myself. Are they coming from love? Are they coming from that attack that I'm used to having in my head all the time, being as a kid? Because I grew up in a household where I was sort of always yelled at. Falguni, what's going on? Mom's trying to make me better, and dad's like, blah, 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 So it was always like, I'm not perfect, and I have so many things to do that I need to be perfect. So those voices still come up. But now the counter reaction or the conversation back is of, I was trying. It wasn't like I did it on purpose. And then the voice is like, oh, okay, yeah. And I think that love that I have learned to give myself, or to catch myself in the conversations that I have with myself, has been the most awakening moment for me. Even my husband to this day, he's like, baby, you were mean to yourself. I'm like, was I? Oh my God. So it's like being, and they're loud enough where people can hear it. And I make sure that it's loud enough so I can hear them. I want to hear what my head is telling my heart on a louder basis so I can catch myself. Because when it's happening in the head, you don't always hear it. It becomes a minute voice and your heart is hurt. but you don't know why, because you didn't really express it. So now when I express it, I catch it. And when I catch it, I know I can make a change and make a difference in the voice, in the conversation that I have with myself. So it's avoiding from being hurtful to being more loving and accepting and embracing, no matter what that mistake is, whether that is, buying the wrong kind of, TV, or maybe, not finishing the work you started, or maybe, being in a relationship that was unhealthy for you. From A to Z, maybe it's about the conversations that we have in our head. And I think that is something that really changes in loving yourself. Overweight, I struggle from losing. I've been wanting to lose 20 pounds for the longest time, and I catch myself wanting to beat myself up for not losing it. But I have to be patient with myself, and I have to stay consistent with myself. And yes, I need a push every now and then, but it has to be done in a loving way. And I think that's something that I have learned through time. It's a moment-to-moment practice, yes, and it is about it's a journey from listening to what you're telling yourself, and then how do you change it if it is negative? How do you change it from negative to more affirming, to more positive, to more loving? And those conversations will help you embrace yourself more, and the more you're okay and loving to everything that you're going through, the more you become okay with everything around in your life as well, and people around you.